as it is 6:32, we will open the Norton Water Sewer Commission meeting of Tuesday, November 12th, 2019, and begin with a Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all for coming. You have an agenda. You guys need agendas.
No, I got one.
You got
No, I'm gonna infect you.
Rocky Mountain oyster thing you got going on?
Kara, do you need?
let's start with the superintendent
Okay.
updates as we, I'm sure there are many, and
There are a few that I've condensed into the most important.
so you triage it. Are we going top down or the easy to the bad?
I'll let you guys decide.
All right, in order then.
We talked before about the remote participation policy that the town was looking to adopt. And I know we had said that we were not interested as a board. So now they would like signatures to say that we are not interested, so that we can give these back to the town manager to make sure that it has been brought up as discussion to the board and that we choose either to or not. And it's all about documentation. We'll jump right over while you're hashing through that. As you
All right.
know, you were there with me. Last Tuesday's select board meeting, the board and the town manager agreed to the 3 persons that I selected. They have been appointed their new positions at the water treatment facility as licensed operators, primary and secondary operators. That opens up 3 vacancies on the existing staff, which has been posted on the board per the union rules, showing no interest in internal movement to those positions. This week I'll begin reviewing some of the applications that I've had to fill those vacancies. We actually have 2 promising applications that were dropped off just as of recently. One person actually has a D2 in training, which I was very surprised.
Very good.
So
Good.
we will getting a hold of him rather soon. Lead and copper sample bottles, they went out back on Monday the 4th with the anticipated retrieval on Tuesday. We got about half, typical. So we've been slowly making the rounds during the day and gathering a handful here and there. We will probably still need to resubmit some bottles so that we can make our quota.
Right.
And we don't want, whether they've blown away, forgotten about, stolen, whatever happened. They just
Use them
don't-
for other stuff, pen
Sure,
holders,
why not?
whatever.
I never thought of that. I should do that.
Okay, you know?
Right, so,
Did we already vote on this? I think it sounds like we're gonna have to vote again.
okay. I believe we did, you
Yeah,
did vote
yep.
not to
Right,
accept that, but.
right. I'm just not sure when that was, but
Okay.
I don't mind updating it. What this is my understanding that certain boards and committees would allow in absentia, maybe Scott to participate by audio or whatever, Skype, I don't know what kind of thing, but I'm against it. I think the dynamics of presentations and visitors and our agendas are critical to be present, and I don't think if somebody's on the board that they can't either get to a meeting or make their feelings known by the time the meeting happens, so I want people here in person. That's my feeling. I'm going to call it to Mr. Bishop to make it in the form of a motion.
I'd like to vote to sign the letter for remote participation policy as of October 21st, 2019, as written.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? The water sewer. And this is 11-12.
You're not getting sick, are you?
I've been sick all week.
You got check for ticks?
I didn't, and I was in Arizona too. Do they hang out there too?
Got spots on you?
I had a couple.
Well, I did it. Look
I
at
took
this.
penicillin, so I'm fine. What happened?
They'll get it. I should have been on this one.
Oh no,
Voted not to allow.
this is all gonna be null and void now.
We can do this again in 2 weeks.
I'll just do the same thing. They're gonna giggle. I think there's another one back here.
Homes in East Main Street are complete. There is a little bit of road work that still needs to be touched up.
Yep.
The main's passed, everybody is connected, everything is in, flushed. There may still be an outstanding question about the seal coating
Right.
that was in there. I know
Yep.
I had spoken with Tara
The-
multiple times.
The apron at
Yep.
the Glen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so Gravity has reached out a couple
Okay.
times, and I guess the person who makes decisions is back in tomorrow.
Okay.
So we're hoping to get a response tomorrow.
Nice, okay.
That's awesome.
Other than,
Just, they're like sliding to second base weather-wise. I mean, you don't even want to be chlorinating stuff right now.
You're exactly right. Jump around to Leonard Street. The culvert replacement started last week, and this did require a shutdown of the water main from 54, which is where the shop turn is. 54 to East Main is off and has remained off for a day while they did their install. They chlorinated the pipe. It's cast iron leaded joint pipe. So we're gonna bring it up close as we possibly can to static, because obviously we can't bring it up to the 150, it's just not gonna work. Do a hold on that with a static test, based very close to our system pressure, and as long as we don't see any major issues with drops, we're gonna call it good. Every joint was inspected. We had, Brian was down there from our department while they were doing some work. Derek spent some time down there. And it appears the work that they did was quality. They did not use the hard wrap cell insulation like we had originally talked about, because it's actually a custom order piece. So with the time restraint and the weather that was upon us, I had spoken with Tara about other options of making a box with the rigid insulation. I think we had all talked about
Yeah.
that before, which
Yep.
was, as good and easy for us if we do need 2 years down the road to get back in there and do something.
Right.
We can make the simple repair ourselves without having to do a custom order
Yep.
for the parts that, something that you just don't keep on hand.
What kind of cover is on that pipe? Like from the top of the pipe to the bottom of the box? What?
I do not have an actual measurement on that.
Not much.
I believe it is very limited. Yeah.
All right.
Which is the reason why we went with the
Yep.
insulation. I believe the rigid cell foam insulation was gonna be a 2-inch insulation.
Right.
They've put the rigid board, and they've done double layers, so we actually got 4 inches.
4. Yep.
So we got a little better than what we had before. Will it ever be a problem? Probably not. but-
Probably not.
But it's a step in the right direction to avoid.
It's got to be
a
close to the.
potential-
It's got to be close to the water table down there. As that area is rather low lying out.
Right. Right,
Say.
it definitely varies, and as they've waited with all the other hoops they had to jump through, it went from the dry season, now they had to deal with some water that was down
Yeah.
there.
I'm just saying in the freeze concept, that's actually a
Right.
good thing because the ground's 50 and that water's 50 and
Right.
45 and not that horrible. So that's not freezing. And if
Yeah.
you have the insulation holding it, whatever heat is in,
Right, every little bit's gonna help.
yep,
That's down.
very
there.
good. And it was removed or it was exposed and the boxes are right on it. It wasn't removed and lowered.
It was not lowered. The section of cast iron that was under the area of impact for the culvert, 10 feet either way, was replaced with ductile.
Okay.
As they started working from the Plain Street intersection, at the first culvert, there's a gate valve that was installed. As their transition from the ductile
Yeah,
from
all
the
right.
cast to the
Yeah,
ductile.
cast to ductile, yep.
Same thing's gonna happen at the other end when they transition, so you have the option to isolate that area,
All right,
should there never be a problem down there.
right.
Where that road only had one other gate valve in place
Nice.
originally.
All right.
So it's a benefit, you know, it's not everything that we wanted, but it's a step in the right direction.
Sounds good.
The buildup inside the pipe was actually a lot less than we had anticipated, so that's actually very good. That was one thing that we didn't anticipate. We had talked about doing some type of pipe cleaning, that was one of the roads I was gonna attack.
Right.
Knowing that there is maybe a half an inch or 3/4 of an inch in that area that they surgically cut the piece out. It's a lot less than what we've seen in pictures previously taken many, many years back.
All
So
right.
the flushing is working. Obviously, we're not getting the pipe scoured completely clean, which is not gonna happen, you know, at the desired flow rate that we run unilateral, so. But it was impressive and definitely better than what was anticipated.
That's good news also. And that's unlined cast. That mean was unlined cast iron.
That is what I have for records. I
Yeah.
don't know if they physically went down and cleaned the section or not.
Right.
I hope they have. I have not looked at Brian's report
I
thoroughly
got you.
yet.
All right.
We'll jump over to well 5. The guesstimate, we're about halfway through the cleaning and rehab on that. They've removed the existing pump, the bowl setup, everything that was in there. They had the chemical in there for cleaning. I believe next week they're supposed to have the crew in there to start stripping out all the chem feed, the unnecessary electrical, do the electrical upgrade. I think you can
We
hit
came
a little
out.
more on that. That's about where I was at from what I've got for an upgrade. The one thing that has come up, and I'm gonna refer back to Weston and Sampson on this, the contractor, Frank Sullivan, that we used, the well cleaning, while he was there, he physically went over and wanted to inspect the pump and the shafts that are gonna be used as a replacement. They're being stored at well 4. It appears at some point in time, they were stacked, the shafts, and then they found them on the ground, what appears it could possibly be a tire track over one of the boxes. You know, I mean, these are heavy-duty metal, there's a good chance there's no issue there, but he was concerned and wanted to make it well known that, you know, he doesn't want it thrown back on him when he installs it, that it was something he did wrong, or if it was delivered damaged, and so this. And then there's one other issue.
Is it worth a shot to a metal shop or put it on a lathe and balance it or spin it? Because you don't want to get it in and have it wah 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 and
Yeah.
face it. We'll call him Mobilization Sullivan. Another remobilization.
Right.
Is there any way, he must have some sort of facility for that, doesn't he?
I would imagine he probably does. We didn't really touch more on this because the other issue I wanted to talk about is actually a little bit more important, but.
If he doesn't, give me a call
Maybe we can get it somewhere and spin 'em.
Frank has a place.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would assume that he would, or he would
Yeah.
know somebody.
But I think it's worth a pound of flesh to get that balanced and spun. We've done
Yep.
that with drive shafts on my heavy
Absolutely.
trucks, and it's
Before
like,
messing with it.
if it's out, just do it.
And more than likely,
Especially with the tire track. I mean, that's a
Probably
giveaway.
nothing's gonna happen to
Right,
it. I
right.
mean,
Was it
just in
nudged
case.
and it fell over and it looks worse than it is? It's
If
just
there's a
one of those.
concern, it's definitely worth looking into.
We don't wanna, blow that off and it become a bigger issue.
And it's not just the well 5, it's the well 5, the treatment plant, and everything else in the world tied to it
Exactly.
today. So,
Right. Going to the next is he inspected the pump that was delivered by, I believe it's Hayes Pump. And his first concern is that the pump came with a mechanical seal. Mechanical seal has a small orifice in it that the water comes up through to cool. Will not work in areas that have high levels of iron and manganese. It will clog and fail. That's why we use stuffing boxes on,
a what?
it's called a stuffing box.
All right, so like a propeller shaft thing.
Exactly.
All right.
To allow the weep,
Yeah.
it does not clog, you make your physical
No,
adjustment
you can
on it.
mess with it. Yep. Technical term.
This was something I know that Tara was gonna look into as far as where the error began. Again, this is something that needs to be addressed now.
How do we remedy that? Do we have to order a whole new unit?
No, you can replace the mechanical
replace it?
with the stuffing box. The other concern is we need to look at the pumps that are installed at the treatment plant on the raw water side. They also could have the same issue with mechanical seals.
So what would it be to change these all out, stubby boxes? I mean, I don't know.
Get a big drill, turn your head around backwards, stand on it, punch the hole out, and put the box around where you drill.
I think
that
it's
easy?
just a ordering
I think it's
issue.
an ordering and install on the pump that's not in place. On the
Yeah.
ones that are in place, it's gonna require the motor to be taken off the shaft.
Okay.
Take the seal off, swap the seal out.
Yeah.
Again, something that regardless of where the oversight happened,
I don't even care about
it
that.
needs to be addressed now.
We're out of the plane. We're looking for a nice soft spot to land.
You know, I know, like I said, Tara was looking into it. I don't know if she's had enough time to,
We're waiting for some information from Sullivan.
okay, yeah. And at some point, you know, we gotta get things going in the right direction.
Yep.
You know, these are things, we're glad
No,
that they were
it's-
caught now.
It's always at the
Right.
end. There's
Yep.
180 little things that have to happen.
Right. You know,
Now we're at 179.
Is that a major,
It shouldn't be.
Shouldn't be a big cost.
It's not new pumps, it's just an adapter
No,
kit or
it's-
something.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
it's
mechanical
not horrible.
seals
Pump is the
are-
same.
what I'm saying, while he's in town, I mean, it'd be prudent if he's not pressed for time, if he has to immobilize to another, you know,
He's leaving and coming back. I mean, there's no way that's not gonna get another mobilization fee.
But-
Not even an issue with me. I
but in
knew
any
it.
event, if we could change those all while he's here, I mean, Jesus, that's just,
Right. Chances are
Fresh start.
it's either gonna come from him or it's gonna come from Hayes. Either way, they work together. It's one thing that you guys will be seeing at some point.
Yep.
Whether it's a change order or however it comes across, whether it's a bill from the department.
Yep.
But,
Whatever. I would say
definitely need to go that
this
route.
this
Yeah, it
isn't.
sounds like you guys want it,
This-
so
yeah,
we're
right.
looking into
Yeah.
it to
Yeah,
just get
this
it
isn't
fixed
Buster
up.
Brown. This
Yep.
is Jets.
Yeah.
If they have shit in the Midwest, put it on a plane and get it here in the morning.
Right, exactly.
Wherever you gotta go.
Yeah. We'll stay right over there talking about stuff with the treatment plant. Multiple times it has been noted that the contractor is refusing to work around live water mains. How this comes about, how you call yourself a contractor and don't wanna work under those conditions, I
In a water treatment plant. This isn't a sewer treatment
Right.
plant. This is a water treatment plant.
You know, maybe I've just worked in the hole too long and I feel comfortable
Well,
doing it.
We all play with the live, everything. Live electric, gas, and water, and sewer, all in the same proximity often.
Right, I mean, we're not trying to undermine what happened up in Boston. You know, that was a horrible sequence of events. They shouldn't have been that deep.
Right.
There were multiple things that went wrong in that. But I mean, we're talking, if you're at a 4-foot or a 5-foot elevation and you're going a foot under a pipe, you get all the safety equipment in place, you know. I don't know if that's something that we don't have in our current contracts, that we need to have wording.
It's a
in-
subcontractor and
in
we just
there.
need to tell the GC to tell him to.
what's the GC say
Proceed.
about all this?
Proceed.
Right.
So the well 4 water main was actually allegedly turned off,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what he wants that done too, so they can, it's not AC pipe,
Right.
there's not a concern on our end, there shouldn't be a concern on his
Right, I
end.
mean, for subpar pipe like the one that they ran across at well 4, I can understand that. For a pipe that's cast or a ductile, if you're not significantly undermining it, causing a hazard, it doesn't make any sense to me. You know, is it a delay tactic or what? I don't know. It sure seems it.
It is.
I mean-
it's his whole, that sub's whole MO has been bob, weave, and the dog ate my excavator.
But isn't
I
this,
can't look at it any other way. I've watched too much.
isn't Methuen, when do they jump in here? They're the ones that hired these people, right?
Right.
That is their
Right.
100% responsibility, so there's,
So
as far as we know, they're coming out.
When does he
start the work.
drag his machines off his other jobs and get this done?
Right, so
I mean-
they're in the process of just either get out here and do it or
Okay.
not. So, but I think as far as in talking to the GC, they indicated that they would be out here starting work.
I hope so. This is kind of ridiculous to delay anything with this,
Yep.
with this attitude.
Yeah, so we were gonna wait for the cranes to be out of the way and
Right.
then be able to get through
Okay.
there. So while the electrical guys are starting next week, that's the whole hope, is that we start on the.
Is there a remedy where we could either use our guys to do the pipe jump that we need to do, or hire an outside contractor? And at what point, I mean, with the weather closing in and the plant coming close to fruition,
If there is a concern with that, we can possibly negotiate.
You know what I mean?
It's part of the contract, so
Yeah.
pennies to the dollars on what potentially a sub could say, well, I only thought it was gonna cost X, so.
but when we have emergency fees and whatever, that if
Yep.
you didn't do X for 6 months. I mean, we have another issue with that same excavation contractor out closer to the road, that they had exposed pipe last week, and I told the GC, personally, that with the weather coming, I want that addressed by the end of what would be, I called it next week, but now we're into this week. And the GC supervisor on the site, John Hannafin, went out and actually insulated it himself, which is a little closing the door after the horse is out of the barn, but it's at least not frozen. But
Right.
it's
and
just
we
it's
have
a
some-
total
yeah.
it's a total lack of performance from the excavation contractor. And if we have it within our powers to put somebody else on the rest of the project, I'm okay with that. If we have to do a little bit of distance of pipe to do that, I'm okay with that too. I can't tolerate this subcontractor insubordination. It's unacceptable. This is too critical. The weather's failing, the project's coming to an end, and this is not a one-time thing with that contractor. This has been a complete disregard for our schedule from the beginning until now.
Second that.
You said that very eloquently in words that I couldn't have chosen.
That's why I'm here. As a contractor myself, it embarrasses me because it makes contractors like
Look
us
bad,
look
right.
horrible. There's plenty of money, they have an excellent fleet of equipment, they have perfect working conditions. I mean, we all know the material out there is fantastic.
Right.
A lot of us play in rocky soils or ledge or some other thing, like the poor guys on the sewer job. I mean, those people, they're behind the 8 ball from the get-go.
Right.
This guy's got sand, relatively shallow, and just won't do it.
Yeah.
From moving the loom in the beginning, I don't want to rehash the whole thing, but it's like,
Right.
it's like with the little valve or the packing things. I don't really care what happened. Now's the time to dig beside a live water main that's only 5 feet deep.
Right.
Cut it out.
Yeah.
Go. We want go.
Right.
Reach, ready, set,
And
go.
if it was questionable and it wasn't safe, obviously then we
No,
would
right.
address it. No,
Yeah.
that's not the case down
I have
there.
all the confidence in the world in you guys that you would be like, hey, you'd want to stop it. Why would you want to have
Right.
a pipe burst?
Right, we're the ones that deal
That's
with
not gonna,
that.
that's not gonna
Right.
help anybody.
Right. Yeah.
But this is just I'm too busy somewhere else, and we're gonna dodge and weave for a week.
Sure. That's all the good stuff that I have. I won't take away from the others that are here that might be falling asleep.
I'm typing away here.
Bad rap for that.
Who's going?
I didn't know, I mean, after you have Brian Donahue coming in, so.
Yeah,
He's supposed to be here at 7.
Okay.
He's got 5 minutes.
So
if
do you want us to
if-
start?
If you would
All
like
right.
to take the floor for a minute.
Do you, yeah, you're quick, so.
Might be, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
well,
You
maybe
never
you're
know with the
quick.
weather. Some of these people might not show.
It could be.
So they basically gave them an extension. So under the permit, their reading of it is they should have not only stopped doing pipe, but had everything cleaned up and buttoned up and done. So they're basically saying you can go like gangbusters until the end of this week, and then you can't dig any more trenches, but you can still have time to clean up and do whatever
Patch
you
and
need to do.
details.
So they were moving along. Dealing with the ledge that they're dealing with now, it was about 2 or 3 straight nights in the same spot.
Right.
Banging on the
That's
rock.
the resident that we have.
So, yeah, and rightfully so. They enough is enough. But talked to the contractor today. They're for the rest of this week. They've moved the crew over to Taunton Ave. They're going to put that drain in. We gave them the authorization to do that work with the drain, and then they've left Wise for the few properties out there, but they still have to run stubs out to the edge of the road. So I think the balance of the rest of this week they're going to spend on Taunton Ave,
Okay.
and then just cleaning up on 123. So they're still going to be out there at night.
Right.
They're not going to be hammering in the same spot they've been hammering for the last 3 nights.
Right.
They shouldn't need any hammering on Taunton Ave. They may need a little bit for the connections. Definitely not the drain work.
But it'll be a
because they're-
different place.
Yeah.
And at what point do we start shooting? Is there a way to line drill and do
So-
like a 3-foot overshot, and then we'll dig through that?
Shot Rock.
I think we need to talk, so now that we're gonna be in a shutdown, we
Yeah.
need to regroup
Yeah.
and the
'Cause you're
contractor
like-
said he wants to, we need to reevaluate.
Because you're a lot deeper than the other utilities, and if you do close, small shots,
Yeah,
you can have that. But
So
I don't know when they jump to that.
yeah. I think that's where they're at now, but they need some additional permitting in order to be able
Sure.
to do that.
Yep.
So, we have some time now for the trenching work.
Yeah.
When do they
To
start
address
up
that.
again after stop? When do they?
So they.
April 1st?
April
The state
15th.
highway is
15th?
April 15th. We'll certainly track the weather and request an earlier
Yeah.
start than that. And they'll be amenable if the weather
Yeah.
is such that, you know, the paving plants are open and would feel good that the heavy snow is gone. So that's where we're at with that. They're actually coming out tomorrow during the day to finish. They've got just a few more inverts to build in Wheaton, and that'll wrap up all the work in Wheaton. Other than the final paving, which will be next season, next construction season. We do have, you know, so with all the stuff we've talked a lot about, you know, they seem to be, you know, at this point they're through, hopefully a lot of the uncharted utilities that really that intersection of 123 and 140 was a nightmare near the Verizon
Right, now
substation and coming around the
Yep.
corner
All those duck banks.
every shovel they put in,
It was
something
nothing-
that nobody
nothing
knew
easy.
what it was. So, you know, they have submitted several claims that we're looking at now. There certainly are some change conditions out there, things that
We
were
talked
never
about some
marked.
of that night at the
Yeah.
trailer.
Yep. So we're working on going through those. The first one I actually want to deal with is all the work, the previous stuff out on Wheaton, Fillmore Drive. And we've compared notes on that, and we're in agreement on the hours lost for the stuff that they ran into out there. So that'll be the first one that we're looking to process. I just gotta finish going through that one, and we'll put it together as a formal change order for the commission's review.
Yeah.
But that one's at about 40 grand right now.
Okay.
It's like 42, is what it is, and they lost about 5 days.
Right.
Is what it ended up being. So, we'll start with that one, and then we'll look a little closer at the ones
Right.
that they have in the other areas. And they're obviously anxious to move those things along. So we've gotten, for the pump station, they are, so they can't work out in the state highway,
Right.
but they can work on the pump station. They do intend to set that wet well over the winter. So there will still be some work going on and work at the pump station. The biggest thing is getting the wet well in there.
Now, is that super deep? What's the,
Yeah, their total excavation, I think, is about, to bottom, is a little less than 20 feet, but they're
Yeah.
about 18 feet down
yeah,
with their sub-base to set the wet well.
wow.
And it's, I think it's a 10-foot diameter wet well, so it's a good-sized structure. So
Right.
that'll be a big hole. And they're working on their dewatering plan for that right now, how they're
Yeah.
gonna handle that. I know associated with the pump station, we are extending utilities to the site just like we had to for town center. So we do have invoices from both gas and electric. And I didn't get a chance to follow up with you on this, Frank, but my understanding is that the one from the gas company, we had some back and forth, and we're good with that one. So that one's 15,300 for the gas company to run the gas from West Main Street down to the pump station in the easement, the 200 feet or whatever it
Right.
is. And just like we had to do at, like I said, at Town Center. And then on the electric, we have a bill for 13,800. And the one thing we're waiting for on that is, and we ran into this on Town Center also, so there is a tax portion of the bill. And the town doesn't pay state taxes, but we
Right.
asked them this before, and they're aware that this is federal tax, but they haven't come back and just confirmed that
The breakdown.
of the 13,700, they show tax as $1,950. We just need confirmation that that's federal tax and that the town is indeed has to pay that, right? So we're waiting on that. So is this one being, what do we need to do to process?
What's the electric? Is that our component, or is that the electric company doing
The
that?
electric, that's the work that the electric company is doing. So the
Okay.
contractor's already got his stuff under
Hi,
under
So
contract.
it's,
grab a seat if you want, right? Or your call, or you can hang out.
so it's the electric company and their
So they-
components,
Their component, so they've got to add a pole
Yep.
and run some
and
underground
we,
conduit.
and our contractor digs after the
Yep.
pole, the underground over
Yep.
to the, okay.
And I think they do most of the digging for the electric
Right.
work, but then the
The electric company does the
Grid comes in
conduit, the
and does-
wire,
yeah.
and the
Yep.
end connections in the plant, or our electricians do that connections?
The contractor's electrician will do
Okay.
the final connections at the
But
pump station.
they're running the
Just
distance.
tub it up.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. So they're just making it available, making
Yeah.
service available to the site.
Okay.
And we had, so these are both SRF
And it's
eligible.
the same with the gas company, our contractor will dig for the gas company, or the gas company's own people are doing the digging?
The gas company does their own digging, I believe.
Except when it's cold out.
Right.
Then they make us do it.
Right.
And now it's getting cold, so.
Yeah. Yep.
All right.
So these both qualify under the SRF. We did have a line item of like 80 grand. So these are coming in under, which
Yep.
is the only item so far on the job that's doing that based on the
you
the way
Brian?
construction's
I
going. You want it?
We just want to deal with the rest of this. You were on for 7 o'clock. Well,
No worries.
we'll take 2 more minutes and then
Take your time.
we'll be right with you.
Sure, no worries, take your time.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
So if you believe the gas is complete and in order, if you want to move and go ahead and vote on the gas, is that what we have to do?
I believe that's what
So
we have.
it hasn't been paid yet. Are you waiting for the commission to vote on it? Yeah, so this is the Columbia Gas invoice that we would be paying. Is it in their package or?
I think it's probably already in that packet.
Okay.
That one, I don't believe the electric is.
No, because we
were
haven't
still
got an
waiting
answer
on the
yet. We haven't got
breakdown.
an answer on that one.
I mean,
Yeah. And
They
it's
don't
fine.
have that same tax, federal tax with them? That you're talking about on that? You're talking about the
So,
$1,900
yeah,
right there?
It's a different, it's a different breakout. They have no state,
Tax.
So they broke it
taxes.
out to make it clear.
Right.
Yeah.
right.
They're
these-
very clear about what they charge for that, the electric is not. So the town accountant had asked that we have clarification on that, so we know we're not paying something that we're not supposed to.
Yep, so it appears that this one has no tax, there's no light item for tax, and I gotta think the gas company's familiar with what we
Yep.
require, so we're just, if you wanna make that as a motion, we'll go ahead and
A
get that.
motion to pay the Columbia Gas bill in the amount of $15,354.80 as written.
So moved, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Pay the bill. Is that going in this
So,
group, or?
If it isn't in there already, you just need
If
to
it's
initial
not,
it?
if
huh?
it's not, we'll stamp it and then we'll make up a form for that.
Okay.
Okay,
So I think it's probably in
believe
your,
it's- I
it's
believe
probably
that
in there
one.
already when you
All
go through
right.
the bills.
cool.
And we'll leave it off to the side to
just-
verify.
yeah,
I'm pretty
we'll
sure
do
that
that.
one is.
And the electric needs the clarification.
So we'll deal with that probably in the
All
next
right.
meeting, yeah, as soon as we get the backup or clarification.
Or are you able to vote on it pending a clarification? I don't know how that works.
Feeding it
Just-
feeding it to us.
Well,
to
we
keep
still
it
gotta
moving?
sign it anyways, what, do you want us to sign it too?
No, I'm just trying to.
I'm just saying the
trying
next,
to keep it moving. You know, if we get clarification on that, if this one's already in there, set to go, that way I can have it ready to go. for the
Let's,
next meeting.
that's probably,
That's a good point. I mean, I think we
A
will get,
timely-
we got clarification before. I think
yeah,
this is-
no,
This is
I'm.
the same way they did it before.
I'm sure it's gonna happen, and as we're gonna jump the contractor over to the pump station, I think it would be very nice to have some electricity.
Right.
Okay.
So let's do something like,
vote to approve the National Grid bill under the condition of getting more information on the tax issue, as stated.
I'll second that, and all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Let's pay that subject to the clarification of the taxes.
So that one you'll probably have to stamp, if you want to have them sign that tonight. Okay, so that's good, yeah, so that'll keep it'll give the utilities less reason to not do their work.
Right, well, once.
They'll now have money, so they won't be able to hold that over us.
That's only the first glitch.
Yeah, that's the first.
Then there'll be other burning hoops of fire.
Yeah.
But if we can now jump.
But the contractor can do their work at the station.
Right.
They can put the work, they can put
Oh, no,
everything in,
right.
they just
Right, you're not
can't
gonna,
power it yet.
you're not
They
gonna
don't have
gas and
power.
electric it until it's in, but.
Yeah, so they can do
Now
all the
we-
work
now
they
we
need to
have
do,
the- right.
and then they just can't test anything or run anything until they get the power out there, so.
Got it.
So that's not holding them up yet,
Cool.
but that's good to keep that moving. I think that's it. I know Frank Keith had expressed some concerns over the condition of the road. I relayed that to the contractor. Just a lot of, just the gravel and stuff on the surface, which comes with the trenches,
Right.
and they're coming out of their yard and dragging the mud on their tires across. They just gotta do a little better job of cleaning it up, but they're gonna be gone in a few
Right.
days.
Right.
At this point anyway, but they did say they would try and clean some of that up tonight. The parade happened, I didn't hear any
Oh,
issues.
The parade went well.
Parade happened and
No, we were in the parade,
nobody,
it was all good.
tripped in our
Yeah.
trenches or
No,
anything like that.
nothing,
so-
nothing, there were some road plates, they were.
There were plates?
They were nicely set, it was perfect.
All right.
I mean, I'm not a fan of road plates, but the parade was slow. There were no
They could see them coming from
no
100 yards out.
No
10
plate,
minutes later.
no plate issues.
Okay, all right. well,
I
that's
think they did as good a job as you can considering the nature of the site. They're what? 6 feet, 7 feet below water? Anyway.
good. Yeah. Yeah, I think the one thing that's unclear right now is exactly what needs to be done before the winter. We need to make sure the contractor is aware and that we're all on the same page with the town and Mass DOT. I mean, because basically, they've been temporary patching the trench like they're
Right.
supposed to, and it's
Right.
supposed to sit for a freeze thaw, and then they're supposed to
Widen and.
mill it, do a
Yep.
full lane width. In some areas, they're gonna be doing a full road width, but on
Yeah.
Taunton Ave, they're supposed to do that full lane width, mill, and redo it.
Right,
But they're not scheduled to do that yet,
right.
because they're only gonna have to do it again. And there
Right.
were some correspondence from Mass DOT asking, when you're gonna get that done, we need it done before the winter, and I don't know that's,
They're not gonna,
they're not gonna unless the town wants to pay for it twice.
right.
which-
I'm
What
not,
they do need to do is make sure that it's good for the winter.
I was gonna say, do we have Keith do a walkthrough or a drive-by rather than have him plow and when it's now December 15th and frozen and the contractor's not there? Cause I gotta think he probably has a cold planer for a skid steer. Cause some of the overlap trenches, I mean, the overlap of the temporary paving look like it could rise above the road, but
There's definitely some work they need to do.
You know what I
It's just a
mean?
matter of
It's-
To what extent, yeah.
if,
And in the section.
we're not gonna hide from Keith, Keith's gonna be plowing it and we're gonna hear about it.
Well, that's
So the
not
town
area
does-
that's not the area that Keith handles.
Okay,
That's
that's
the
state section,
Right.
okay,
So they're the ones that are really gonna dictate
all right.
what we need to do, so.
Well, they are very difficult to get answers out of, so if,
And we may be able to approach Keith and ask his judgment with his experience.
yeah, if there's a horrible section, I mean, it's easier when they're there and the plants are still open to bite the bullet and fix it, rather than, I mean, that's a heavily traveled area with, major impact. So I guess if I could politely request a call to Keith, and he's never gonna make it out there when they're working at night, but if he does a drive-by and just informally shoots you an email of, I mean, short of grinding and doing the finished paving, but there are some rough overlaps, and I think if they could address 8 of them, I think everybody would be a little bit happier when they're plowing. I think we're gonna jump and hold off
We're
on
good,
that for now and welcome Brian Donahue. If you wanna hop up to the table. I'm just gonna take Scott away.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm sure I'm not the first, but it's not on the best of terms. Nothing personal against any of you. Yeah, I'll start off saying that we've probably been in the town now. I was trying to think exactly when I moved in. I think it was 99, but it could have been 2000. And we once lived on 19 Fordham and now live on 2 Foster. And, you know, we've invested in this town. My wife's a school teacher at the Yale, so she's going through more torment than you can believe. And I'm sure you're all aware. She's one of the affected classrooms. But I got my water bill the other day, and it coincided with the replacement of my 3rd washer. So I've had enough. I don't know who would like a copy. I don't have enough to go all around, I don't think.
No, I think we're good.
That's okay.
So I got my first, so you guys can open up and let me know your thoughts. Now, I don't know, anyone willing to take a dip in the pond there? Well, that's my bathtub. So this is on a regular basis, and I'm sure you're aware of it. So this is what I've had to subject my kids to. I don't know if it's on camera as well, if you want it. I don't know where you want to go with this. But my bottom line is that we run our water as often as we can to flush this out. We get it's not you, we have issues in our town.
Right.
I support it. You would never see me turn down, and I'll say this on record, whatever it is, a 2.5 for the town. I'm invested in it. But at the same time, I shouldn't be penalized with the same water billing per cubic foot that others are. I lived on one side of the town and I haven't had these issues. And I get, you crop up and they happen from occasion to occasion. I've now lived on 2 Foster moved in I think in 2002 in like March. At first I'm like, okay, maybe it's something with the neighborhood settling, years gone by. This is not stopped. So again, we've called on and on and on. At the point where someone came through, and I've known most of the guys that have come through and done the flushing, but passed by one of the hydrants, and it's set up in the yard a little bit, not my yard, a neighbor's yard, and I'm like, would you mind flushing that one? He said, oh, I'm not gonna do that, that's in the middle of his yard, look at how nice his yard is. And again, I lost it. So I'm okay to put my kids through that, but you don't wanna flush a hydrant? So I came in and I complained that day as well. So, but my point is, I'm not gonna pay my water bill. I want some kind of, I don't know what, justification for how you guys think you can continue to charge that rate with that water. And everyone is aware, and I've come in here, oh yeah, we know that area is more difficult. I run my water more often, so now I'm charged by my usage, which is only to somewhat try to remediate the water, to feel gross that I'm showering that scum. It's disgusting. Okay, so I'm not good. So I get charged for the usage, and then I get charged a capital improvement on my usage for flushing mine. So something has to be done when it's that much of an impact. And this has gone on, like I said, if it happened once in a while, my old side of the neighborhood in the town, I get it comes and goes. Excuse me. But it's been, I don't even know, thousands, tens of thousands, like in Dauntley and all the clothes, whether it's the comforters that were white that now are, I don't know what, the toilets we have to replace because it looks like you left the molasses cookies in there and then heated them up with a blowtorch and it just melts. So it's just gross in appearance. But again, I shouldn't be subjected to the same tax and usage when I'm clearly flushing it. And you can check, and it's in the past bills, usage-wise, and you can check. So I don't know how you guys can handle this, and I get it's a challenge, a burden. It's not personally at you, but something has to be done, and I can't live like that anymore.
Have you considered a house filter?
Have you guys considered putting one in for me?
We're building an $11 million treatment plant.
Oh, I get it, I'm contributing to it, but
Right,
again, do you
So-
wanna come over and take a bath? Have you considered that?
Being proactive, looking at the situation, it would,
I get it, but
it would come to me.
So why should I, again, be subjected to the same usage rates when I'm told to just let the water run by the town of Norton people?
Well, that's that's a non-technical solution. If you want to take the next step and save some of these appliances that you're consuming, you could be proactive and install a filtration system. That's an
Okay.
option. You know what I mean? You've got considerable expenses,
Sure do.
and when you look at running a residence,
But I've
There
made
is-
these over time, and it's, oh, the water is gonna get something better, the treatment's gonna be fixed this time. It's
Well,
a
yeah,
pipe
the-
here.
the plant is not online yet.
Oh, I know, but it hasn't been, it's just punting it down the road more and more and more, even just listening to this here. And I get you're constrained by a budget. I'm not here to dispute it, and again, it's not personal, but you're aware of an area that is more subjected.
It's from time to time,
No, it's
place
not.
to place.
It's much
From
more
your
frequent.
perspective, it's not. We have the facts, we have the calls, we have the complaints. We know
So you're able to identify where they are.
it floats. What you have to understand is the dynamics.
It floats 28 out of 30 days a month?
The dynamics of
That's not
the,
right.
The
No, you can tell me dynamics all you want. I get the flushing, I
moving-
get the movement,
Well,
I
it's
get,
the moving through the
I get it.
system.
I'm more than happy to take 30 days of a water sample out of there, and I'll tell you that 28 of them are much closer to that than anything you're gonna drink in. That's not a floating problem, okay? So again, the usage is not fair, and this needs to be addressed. You can tell me all you want, but this needs to be addressed.
We are with the treatment plant.
You're not, no. You're not addressing my concern. That's a town problem. I'm saying now, immediately, I shouldn't be charged for usage of water that I'm not consuming.
The
Say it as you be. It's not right.
the response that we have to give at this point is you should be on a whole house filter for your domestic hot water and your domestic drinking.
Yep.
And if you could do that, when the hot water comes into it, it precipitates the iron and manganese even more severely. So if you had a whole house filter prior to the hot water heater and flush the hot water heater yourself, granted it's more work, but this is what comes out of our ground. We
Right.
don't have any filtration.
Some of the people do.
No. Currently there's no filtration online. Nothing. We're building our first treatment plant.
But there are people that don't have issues ever in the town.
They're in a little sweet spot of
Whatever sweet spot it is.
Good
I
water.
should be subjected to the water rate that I'm at.
we
for
don't
the-
we don't choose to send any different water to you than anybody else. It's
Okay, so I want to know what the protocol is, that when in the morning, I turn on my shower and it turns like that. Who's gonna come and put something in between to remiss the coming in so I can clean my system before I get in the shower? Or put my kids in that bath?
if this is all,
Because it's not me, it's every single morning.
I understand what you're saying, but if this is the culmination of your discussion, this seems somewhat circular. All I can say right now is for the short term, install a filter, buy a bunch of cartridges, and you can improve the quality of your water in your house.
Okay. So who's the next step that you appeal for this bill? Where does that go?
That's a good question.
So
To
the
the best-
town has no answer for that?
We're doing.
Okay, I'm just saying, dispute of the bill.
Right.
Who do I dispute the bill with?
You're here. It's us.
So there is no disputing, is what you're telling me.
There are certain issues.
Do you, am I not making any logical sense? I get there's a political standpoint, you have to do what you gotta do, but am I not
this
making
honestly,
any logical
Brian,
sense?
this really isn't political. If you had a house on a hill and it was windy and from time to time it blew off some shingles, you'd put either different shingles on or you go patch some shingles. This is a substantial daily problem, but if over the past years that you've had this and there are.
Do you live in the town?
We all do.
We have to live in the town.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Do you have a filtration system in?
Yeah.
And where do you put that in as the main comes in
Right after the
itself?
meter.
You
Right after the meter.
can, Steve's a water tech in Mansfield and also in Redwood.
Yeah, you put it in right after the water meter, and depending on the size of your line, 3/4 inch line could be a $35 unit. a 12, two-pack of filters, I think is like 12, 13, 14.
You had like under $100?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and if you could
Alright,
do it,
so
and
that's
and
a different filtration system than what I've been told.
it's a
about
sediment filtration system, because we had the same issue in Mansfield, because we're on the same aquifer upstream.
Mhm.
And this is what we had this same issue with people in town,
And
this is
and
what
this
we,
remediates all of this?
well, it's gonna take.
I
yeah,
get
what-
just like the filter, I guess,
It's
would
gonna,
go to the fridge.
it would chew
Yeah,
up.
And that's
yeah,
a big
right, exactly,
degradation over
exactly.
time.
Same
Yeah.
game. It would
You
chew
see
up.
it.
It would chew up filters, but it's going to give you. It's going to give you quality of life.
If I don't have laundry that looks like someone took a dump when they washed it,
Yeah.
it's an improvement, and it might,
Yeah.
I mean, clearly, we don't drink it anymore, it's useless from that standpoint. But, you know, when you come in, it's embarrassing to people that come over, and it shouldn't be, you know, and again, my usage is high, because I asked others, and like, and we try to flush it,
Right.
but.
No, I know.
So am I supposed to not do it? I mean,
No.
it's-
The solution for right now.
So why shouldn't there be some kind of a cap? Because there's a minimum, but now I'm getting, again, I run it higher because of this stuff. So now my usage goes up, and then in addition, because my usage goes up, my capital goes up because it's based on my usage. So do you wanna throw me in front of the bus, or do you wanna back up over me?
It's even that. It's even worse than that for us, because we'll say a lot of people are in your situation, perhaps, and that puts more demand on the system, which is already in high demand, and it pulls more iron and manganese out. So please quit flushing and find.
But that's what we're told to do.
I get that.
And that's what your guys come out and
But
have done.
if it were an occasional event, the flushing is a good remedy. If this is 28 days a month,
Yeah.
you gotta grab a filter. You,
I mean,
you really
this
do.
is just, and it's gotten worse,
Sure.
not better.
Yeah.
And then even to the point where one of the guys came and whatever it is, however they move the directional of the water,
Yeah.
the pull or the push, went to
Right.
the end of the street and turned these like, this one doesn't even look like it was ever even turned, ever. I'm like, oh, okay. And again, I didn't even understand how the mechanics moved,
Right, there's-
push versus pull, and
there's-
how it goes, but
Yeah,
whatever
we
it
have
was,
a-
it turned.
We have a new directional flushing program that we've
I get it, so it
got the
doesn't
whole
pull,
system
yeah,
down,
yeah.
and it's better.
Yeah.
It's apparently not working.
It is better, so I
Alright.
can say again, that probably was 3 weeks ago maybe. Prior to that, it was more like this, 28 or 30 days. Now it's better, you know, it's still gross, but, you know.
I think
It's the laundry thing that's going up everyone's butt sideways, and,
Yep.
and again, now I look at it over time, I'm like, okay, so it's ruining everything, I'm paying more for my usage, and I'm paying more for a capital expenditure, and I'm the ass sitting here willing to vote through Prop 2.5, and the other townies don't wanna spend it, because it was good enough for their kids 75 years ago, well, shit changes. So that's what I mean, I don't want you to think like
No,
it's, but
I'm-
there is an area here to dispute, and it's like you just said, no, go buy a filter. So, no, I'm to a higher bill, clearly you know I'm using it as to why, and I'm told go put in a filtration system on my own dime to boot.
the
So
filtration.
that doesn't seem like a good way to dispute.
The filtration will decrease your
I
usage
understood.
by no flushing.
Right,
And it's gonna
Sure.
give you satisfaction, because you'll be very confident when you turn the faucet on.
I'm more than willing to give that a
and,
shot.
and you'll watch maybe the filtered water, the filter degrade, and then you can assess whenever, if it's once a week or however often
Right.
it is, you jump down, you change the filter.
Yeah, and again, I'm more than willing to
I-
come halfway here and say, I hear you, I'll try it. But again, it's to dispute a bill, and this seems like you're just not giving me any wiggle, then you go put in an air or water filter and you own it. Sorry, here's your issue until we get a town thing. That doesn't to me seem like an opportunity to dispute a bill. You just told me here's what you must do.
It's a solution that will work in your case.
Okay, well, again,
And-
I hear you, you're not hearing me. I'm willing to try and meet you. In here, it says
Right.
to dispute.
Well,
You told me I can't dispute.
All we do is,
Waste more of my time coming down here.
no, we are charged with
By whom?
billing for the water that goes through the meter.
By whom, I guess. Who can I go to next? Because this is silly. It really is. And the town manager, is that who it is? Who puts you guys in here? Who's make decisions here? Someone must.
you are able to find out we're an elected body.
But at some point, you're governed by a body. No?
I,
You're as high as it goes in the town of Norton
I'm
from.
sure you can talk to several different
I
people.
can't,
don't-
I can't get an answer out of our town hall. Everyone wants to dodge the bullet on this, and I understand it.
I've got no, there's no remedy for what you're asking right now. The only solution I have is, it's been an ongoing problem for you. And if I were you, I would take a couple of bucks and throw it in a water filter and take charge of the situation.
I have no desire to pay this bill.
That's,
You clearly are not working within here where it says to have an opportunity to dispute. So you're not. I've used more water than I've consumed because of this. Yeah, okay, I will try to use less water on yours, but clearly you're aware that I've had an issue and it's been going on. Why should I have to pay that much more money? Subsidize my filtration system by reducing the bill.
other people have asked for that, and unfortunately, the answer is we can't do that.
So again, so if I don't pay my bill or I'm not happy with your result, who do I appeal to? And that's why I don't understand this, and I'm not
I think
within town politics apparently.
I think we provide the water, and I mean, if you really look in the mirror, you could sink a well. I don't know what to tell you.
I couldn't. Jen, whatever, the Fruit Loop and the Natural Preserve who protects butterflies wouldn't let me.
Okay.
I did try. I tried to get around that.
We're gonna all maintain a certain level of.
Understood. I apologize. I'm just
I understand. I
very
understand.
frustrated. I
Water.
apologize. Yeah.
Water is a very daily thing, and when it's not going well. But I'm as
I
a
tried
person,
to go that route 7 years ago. Believe me.
the well.
Yeah.
But
I'm too close to wetlands apparently.
Okay.
And I'm
Well,
not
7
able
years
to.
ago, if you had a filter, you wouldn't be here right now. You'd be better, happier as a person to a person. Get to filter. I have a $5,000 filtration system. I'm like a little chemist. I do all kinds of crazy stuff. But you don't need that. You need a particulate filter. It's not $1 million. It's going to take a little time, and
It's based on the size of your water service, so if you got a 1-inch service, it's a little more, maybe $54 last I checked.
Yeah, I
When
mean,
you get
that's
them in Home
peanuts,
Depot-
honestly. No,
It's-
that's
it's
not.
not-
it's not crazy stuff, and honestly, you'll feel better because you'll be doing something
Well,
that's
my neighbor,
making it better.
Yeah, who's a plumber, has probably more along your lines, and I'm like, I'm not spending $5,000 to
Right.
go put, because he's already said I've got to replace it. And I'm like, what's the point of that?
You don't
$5,000 every
need to.
4 years for
It's a
that?
sediment issue.
Right. You don't need
Those
this.
sediment filters are not the $5,000 kind.
Yeah.
So is it, you just put it between, once the meter comes
Once the
out?
meter goes
So
in,
shut it
right
out and
up.
I'm able to undo that?
Your neighbor will know. You want a plumber to touch the water mains and pipes in the house.
But it's
And-
cutting in a coupling more or less in the
Yeah.
filter and installing
Yeah.
it, and then the cartridge, just like the
Right,
water
unscrew.
filters.
You can change your cartridges once
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
once
yeah,
it's
yeah,
plumbed
yeah.
in.
It has a shut-off on it,
Yeah.
and a release valve. So you
Gotcha.
can just screw it right off, and some come clear, then, so you can actually see.
That's right.
Which would be preferable.
The housing is clear.
Do you need a check valve in between and
Nope.
any pressure?
Nope,
It's
you do
okay.
They're pretty
Okay.
good.
All right.
I'm sorry we couldn't
Nope.
help, but it's
Oh, yeah. No, you can do whatever you want with this stuff, but and this is crazy. I'm not gonna pay this bill. There's no way I'm gonna do that. But I will try your filtration, and like I said, I'm more than happy to take as many days of a sample as you want, but if you wanna come over and take a dip in that, feel free any night. Pool's pretty much open. Pool, pond, they're both good, but apparently pond's good for me. But I don't know where to go with this, so I guess no help, but thanks.
We're gonna take a 5-minute recess. I have to regroup. So now, moving right along, we're going back to
Steve, Weston and Sampson, are you done with the
I
sewer?
think the sewer was done.
Good.
Okay.
We
All
wrapped
right.
that up, so.
Go for the water then. So we just want to do a brief update on a few of the projects that we have ongoing. As Frank mentioned, Home Street is pretty much done as far as the water main installation. Services are all tied in. The temporary trench patch for the winter is in. Next summer, spring, they'll come back in and pave per Keith's requirements from highway. I do have a pay estimate for their first pay estimate for the commission to review. We've reviewed it. I have no concerns on that. And the certified payrolls are included as well. So as far as we know, that right now, the only thing outstanding is the Norton Glen concern with the staining from the water main break that happened at the beginning of the project. So as I said before, the hope is that by tomorrow morning, we'll get an answer and have an update by the end of the week on exactly how.
Has that area gotten any better since then?
It looks, so I got a photo from the first week, and then I got a photo about 5-6 weeks later. We've got a lot of rain, and it does look a lot better. So the question is, because it's private road, whether or not we can actually have a sweeper go out there and do that. But naturally, it's come on for the most part. I haven't really talked directly with the management property over there, so we've been having the contractor deal with that directly. So hoping to find a resolution and see where that goes over the next couple days. But yes, I think overall it does look a lot better. Certainly, there was just some rust staining. And there's some sediment that also on the side of the road, some debris and dirt, which continuously forms and then dissipates after the rain events. So for the most part on Home Street, we're pretty good. Last we talked at Pine Street, internally, we've reviewed our design plans. Frank, I don't know if you want to review them for a final time before we set a bid date? I've seen them enough.
We've seen it a few times.
So what I'd like to do is probably just set a date. We do have 2 holidays coming up. That's the only concern, so I can work with you on what date works for a bid opening. I figure a standard 4-week bid window would be probably good. Hopefully get something around the January time period bid opening, and then we'd go with a contract award, and then a start of construction. We do have a stretch of area that is in a turtle habitat, so we'd want to get started before April 15th on the well area on the non-paved surface, get that all work done, and then kind of move towards the paved surface by April 15th, weather pending. So we're just under a constraint with the natural heritage on their turtle habitat for that, but otherwise we should be on track. Wells 5 and 6, Sullivan is out on the site for the treatment plant. He has been on site for us as well, working on the 5 and 6's investigation. I'm waiting for a report from our guys in the next couple weeks on just which of the test wells are the most viable, so we can report on that hopefully in the next month or so. As far as the master plan goes, I know that we had discussed this several weeks back. If there's any feedback from anybody, I know we've gotten some feedback from Frank. We're pretty much wrapped up everything on our end, so if you're good to go, we'll do the final prints and
Yeah.
move forward.
I think so.
Okay, great.
Tara, is there anything for us to do on the certified payroll, or that's just included with the?
That's your copy for your records. We have a copy
Okay.
at our office too, so.
So,
Yeah, I'll take them back. Do you want one too?
yeah, I think
Yeah.
so.
I just need 2 copies. And then 1 copy goes to Gravity, and then you guys have,
So you're looking for
Keep 3.
You're looking for 3.
yep.
Goes to Frank. The payroll goes to Frank. What do I do with the payroll? That's for you. That's for you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And then the water management permit renewal, we submitted our comments to Mass DP on November 1st, and we're waiting to hear back from them. At this point, I've heard reasonable, seems to be going pretty smooth. They knew exactly what we were gonna talk about. We had a preemptive meeting here to discuss exactly what we wanted to submit for our final renewal application. And they have a draft permit ready, and we're just waiting for approval to post that so that the 30-day public comment period can start. But you'll be at the same withdrawal rate. And the hope is that there's no major constraints on that. Everything's in the permit right now, and it's all pretty standard. It was actually, there's a little bit of mitigation that we were able to provide, and we've balanced that out, so there's not a huge withdrawal increase between what you need to do for mitigation. So it's a pretty simple, relatively simple in this case compared to some other ones that we've worked on, so. But hopefully, knock on wood, when we get the comments back, there's nothing out of the ordinary on that. So we consider that more or less wrapped up as well. And then as far as the remaining project, we talked a little bit about the treatment plant at the beginning of the meeting, through the superintendent's report. Right now, we're pretty much on track. Sullivan is out there right now, still cleaning the well. The intent is that they'll wrap up by the end of this week. Electrical work will start, possibly demolition on Friday of the generator at well 5, and then continue to work over the next several weeks on upgrades to the station as well. So there's about a week or so of demolition, and like a week or two, depending on the timing of that for the improvements over there. And then as far as the treatment plant goes, we went and toured the site today. A lot of the chem feed pumps are all installed. There's a lot more progress on that as well. Some of the SCADA wiring's been connected in, so that's pretty much on track. I think from the contractor's perspective and ours, we do still feel that, right, as of today, things look good for having the water going through the plant with DEP approval conditional, to go into the system starting before Christmas, so.
Wow.
Well 5,
Yep.
so, and then as we
That's
talked
really
before-
cool.
Yeah, so it's
That's really
getting there, so we're, we're in crunch time, obviously, with some last minute items, but I think,
Is
we're
there
working
is there
with it.
permanent heat in the building? I never asked John Hannafin. Is that are they're live, or are we on temporary heat, or?
Right now, we're on temporary heat
Yep.
still, yeah.
All right, cool.
Yep.
Because it's got to be working its butt off right now.
Yeah, a little cold the next few days, so
Yeah.
that's a little change out, so not normal for beginning of November.
No,
but-
right.
So other than that, I think we've covered pretty much everything that.
Yeah, I have
You had some?
the Massachusetts Historical Commission paperwork, so.
Right, I
it-
took a look at that.
Yeah, there were some minor changes. So originally, we formatted it where 3 parties signed it, Town of Norton, MHC, and DEP. We gave it to DEP to review, and they said they weren't gonna sign it. Then Luke signed the version with 2 parties to sign it, and MHC said that was not acceptable. They kind of called DEP out on it. DEP got their lawyer involved and added a couple of phrases to this agreement that they were happy with. We didn't feel that it, affected the town of Norton at all. So you have a revised memorandum of agreement for the MHC-related issues that I've put together for Luke's signature as the chair. They have not told me how many copies, so I brought 5, but
I'm signing. We'll just keep signing.
so. And you're the
You-
first signature, so I have to distribute it to the other parties,
Yeah.
and then
You'd think they would
hopefully
have
it'll
a
be finalized.
boilerplate, but I guess this is more unique than boilerplate stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think the boilerplate is much more harsh than
Okay.
what we're getting.
Okay then. Well, thank you for that. Good. I wasn't thinking that way.
That's okay.
But that makes total sense.
So that's all we have, unless you have specific questions.
I think that's great.
As long as it doesn't affect us.
There's not a lot we're gonna do. What we've found out about these oversight boards, they're pretty cut and dry. Either okay it or wait. I'm through waiting. Because I can whine for a minute, I can't believe we're in this position at the postponement of all the archaeological research that was done and they didn't find anything. That's the best part of it all. Because as reading through this, it's if any and on and on and on. We have to. They sifted and couldn't find anything. What did they think we're going to turn up with? Kicking a leaf over or something. But I'll play their game. Very strange.
Actually, do you think we need a motion that you sign that?
We absolutely do.
Okay.
So it's this. You could say MOA.
Motion to sign, right?
Yep.
Memorandum of agreement among the Massachusetts Historical Commission, Massachusetts Department of Environmental Protection, and the town of Norton, Massachusetts, for the Norton Water Treatment Plant project. As duly written.
I'll second that.
You know,
All in favor?
I think it's an aye.
Aye.
An aye for an aye.
Alrighty.
Boom.
Can I get a copy of this?
Sure. You have one in your email.
I just noticed we're gonna.
So once this gets executed by all parties,
It comes back.
yeah.
Yep. I didn't notice in the beginning, but we're gonna need to, look at the video, or we don't have anything recording because
Yeah, I was thinking about that earlier.
Kevin's
too.
not here.
Yeah.
You're correct, that's why Tara is.
Sorry, I'm
away.
typing
Oh,
furiously to give
all
you
right,
Oh, is that what you-
all right, well, I didn't, okay.
Yeah,
Well,
I'm your
Thanks, Tara.
All right.
scribe for
Yes.
the,
All right, well, thank you for
You
that.
can take the cut and pay.
Nicely stepped.
well, it was,
We're gonna,
the cookies are good.
all right then. That's perfect. And I apologize for not noticing it earlier. I'm like, what? I think, anybody grievances, anything positive, negative, in the middle?
In the middle.
Comments, questions? I think we're gonna ask you for your, well, we gotta do, did we already schedule another one?
You did, but you might wanna look at it, it is Thanksgiving week, I'm not sure if there's conflict with anybody not being available.
Well, it would be the 26th,
No,
no,
26th, is it?
Yep.
Is
it's
it?
November,
Yeah.
we're on the 12th.
Didn't
Yeah,
work-
no,
And-
Thanksgiving's late this year.
Without taking my shoes off, I get 12 and 14 gets me to
I
26.
got mine off, you need help?
Yeah, all right then. So, I know it's a bye week for the Pats, we're all off kilter a little bit, but I think the 26th, once, twice, I don't know.
That sounds good to me.
I'm around.
That'll be a,
We'll have another vacant seat,
Yep.
but the two of us will be here. The 26th it is. So the next is 11/26. And now, Mr. Bishop, the favorite motion?
motion to adjourn.
I'll second that. We're out.